Hello, everybody, and welcome into this week's 30 Minutes program. I'm really excited. I've got Todd Winters here. He is the Dean of the College of Agriculture and Applied Sciences at UT Martin, a professor of animal science, and he gives lectures, and the list goes on, and he didn't want me to tell you everything, but I will say this to you.
Well, thank you, Paul. It's great to be here today, and I look forward to talking to you.
So how did you come to University of Tennessee at Martin, Dr. Winters?
Well, it was a job. You kind of go to where the jobs are. I actually grew up on a dairy farm out in the state of Washington, but spent most of my career just up the road, a couple hours up at Southern Illinois University, and I spent 19 years there. And the position opened up here, and I actually interviewed on my birthday here in 2013. So that's 13 years ago, and got the job, and I've been here since July 1st, 2013.
When you came from the north to the south, how did you feel about the atmosphere?
Yeah, it is a little bit different. Southern Illinois is kind of maybe an intermediate so I was kind of got used to it, but there's definitely a difference in culture here in the South. There is something about Southern hospitality and Southern nice. I think people have been very welcoming here in Tennessee, and our family considers ourselves Tennesseans now.
When did you make a decision that you wanted to go into agriculture? Because you've had some. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, I think I've always. Ag has been part of my life. I'm the son of a farmer, clear back to the old country. And so agriculture has always been part of my life. I like to say my father was my first ag teacher. So I always thought that I'd have something to do with agriculture. I think early on I thought I'd be a veterinarian in college at Washington State University. I went through those courses, but I got interested in research and didn't even apply for vet school. I actually went on to Purdue University and University of Wisconsin, got my graduate degrees, and essentially became a scientist and a faculty member.
Well, coming to UT Martin, who were the people before you?
People before me here at UT Martin? Well, obviously Jerry Gresham. He was the interim dean when I came.
Great guy.
Yeah, wonderful person. Before he passed, he was a lot of help in helping me with that transition. Jim Byford, he's still around. He's still very helpful. It kind of gives me the history of why things have been done. Dean Smith, I did happen to meet him before he passed. He was in his 90s, and had some good conversations with him as well.
What was your takeaway from coming to UT Martin, and that is something you brought from home or where you were, and, hey, we did it up there, we can do it down here, and there's a lot of little things that probably that people don't realize that agriculture really is something that is connected almost, I think, you tell me if I'm wrong, connected to all 50 states.
Yeah, well, it's more than that, Paul. It's global. Some of the things that I think I brought with me, one was I think I've gotten changed the culture a little bit as far as doing research here. UT Martin is known as a very good teaching university. Education is our vision and continues to be our vision. But when you do applied research that's important to the region, that also helps us with what we're trying to teach our students, because we stay up to date, and it gives the students some hands-on experience, really learning about how things work.
What do students want to come for UT Martin's ag program? And I don't know, you've got a dozen of them times a dozen, I know, of programs that are available at the university.
Yeah, I like to think that all our programs are very excellent programs, but the programs that I'd probably consider some of our signature programs, first of all, would be our veterinary science and technology program, which when I came was part of the ag major, but because of the interest, we actually separated into a major of its own, a clinical major, if you will, and that contains our pre-vet program, which we call veterinary science, and our veterinary technology program. We have about 350, even approaching 400 students in that program.
Wow. Can I say something about Dr. Danny Walker? I don't know if you lured him in, or how did that work?
No, I can't take credit for that.
The reason I say this is because he's a hometown boy, you know?
Yeah, no, Dr. Walker has been a tremendous teacher and mentor. I think he was here for about 14, 15 years. Just a couple years before I was here, he practiced down at Jackson for a number of years. And then we were able to, Dr. Gresham actually was able to recruit him to come.
Well, the program started under his tutelage, is that not right?
Yeah, Dr. Gresham, he hired Jason Roberts, Dr. Jason Roberts.
Super guy.
To be and he still continues to be the director of the program. We've been averaging about 20 students a year getting into veterinary schools around the country, and most of those go to UT Knoxville. But we've had students even get into vet schools that are global down in Australia and even England.
So that is number 2 that you had just talked to us about. What are the other programs?
Yeah, I think we're well known for our agricultural business program, which we offer both traditionally and online. We actually have about 150 students that actually take that program online from all over the country. It seems like we get quite a few from Louisiana, Texas for some reason, but so we're teaching our farm and ranch management and our agribusiness program that way. We've got about the same number of students, about 350 students in that program. Actually, if you take that undergraduate program and look at the other agribusiness, ag economics programs in the state, including Knoxville, add them all together, we actually have more students at the undergraduate level. So it's become we've developed a really good brand, and these programs are because we've got good people, as we've already mentioned, teaching in those programs.
Well, I think when I think about agriculture, I normally think about, cows. The second thing, more cows. And the third thing, beans and wheat and corn. What else is out there?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things that are really opening the doors, and you can talk about hemp and some other things.
Yeah. No, you're right. When most people think about cows, plows, and sows, when they think about
I didn't want to say pigs, but go ahead.
And the swine industry is big. Tosh Farms is one of the biggest farms in the country, and are very good benefactors for the College of Ag. But
can we talk about Tyson, for example? The impact here. Yeah,
Tyson Foods. The food manufacturing industry has really expanded here in Northwest Tennessee, and the biggest of those is Tyson Foods. And we've developed a really good partnership with them in their poultry. They've actually helped us remodel one of our old swine barns into a broiler floor, and they actually provide the feed, and we have our students work in that floor. And then when the chickens are harvested, those chickens are harvested now in less than 60 days after they come as chicks, and they then send the chicken nuggets back to us, and we sell those chicken nuggets as kind of a fundraiser for the university. So it's a kind of a win-win thing. It helps us with our poultry science program, and then we actually provide them with students that have experience in poultry science.
If you've just joined us, we've got Dr. Todd Winters from the University of Tennessee at Martin. We're talking about agriculture and the programs that we have here at the university. Dr. Winters, let me broaden this for just a moment. There are so many opportunities, and we haven't even begun to get through just maybe less than 1% of all of the opportunities that are out there. When you bring a student on, I mean, you are the GIGO, and when you are the person that you want to be able to make sure that this student graduates from the University of Tennessee at Martin, and there are so many programs that I could not even begin. We talked about part of those, but agriculture is so diverse today.
The food and agriculture industry, it goes pretty much everywhere from farm to fork, we like to say. So it's the whole supply chain.
Farm to fork.
Farm to fork. So in our college, we even have a food nutrition program where we look at food safety and the quality of the food that and nutrition that the consumers are taking in. So we do the whole thing, and then all the supply chain, how to get the food product to different places to get to the consumer. But we also look at it at agriculture and the food systems at a global level. And one of my goals, especially over the last few years, is to get that global experience for our students so that they understand that. We're seeing that right now with some of the things going on in the world, with the lack of a market for our soybeans, and with the Gulf states, with the Gulf being closed down, getting the fertilizer and the fuel in here, because farmers are very dependent on fuel, diesel. They're still planting here in West Tennessee, trying to get that second crop soybean in, and the fertilizer comes from that petroleum industry as well. So it's it's very, very broad. You also need attorneys to write up all the paperwork and figure out what's safe as far as the chemicals that we use on the fields to get a better producing crop. And because of that, I think it's been about 3 years ago, we actually put in a program that we call Agriculture, Environmental Law and Policy, and that's becoming a real popular program in our college. And it just recently, and actually this is actually some news for today, is that we have come to an agreement with the University of Memphis for a 3+3 program where students can go 3 years here. If they have a high enough score on their LSAT, they can actually transfer into the University of Memphis Law School. After a year at Memphis, they'll get their UT Martin degree and then finish the last 2 years at Memphis and get their law degree. And they approached us about that because there was a need for that type of training.
Well, you have been well connected with Stephen Vaden. His job, he's number 2 in the Department of Agriculture. Is that not correct?
Yeah. He's the deputy Secretary of Agriculture, and he's a local boy, farm boy. Grew up in Union City, and we've developed a good relationship. He's part of that policy, part of that new degree program. He comes in and gives some lectures from time to time when he's in town, and has been a real big supporter of us at UT Martin.
You just joined us. Dr. Todd Winters is the current Dean of the College of Agriculture and Applied Sciences at the University of Tennessee at Martin. I have liked him for all the years, and I say that because, maybe I just like agriculture, and, we don't get a chance to talk very often, but I do know your passion in that, you don't just sit behind a desk. You're out there.
Yeah. No, I think to be a good Dean of Agriculture, you need to be on the road. Now, sometimes some of the upper administrators wonder why I'm not in, and but it's.
But listen. You've traveled. I know this. Yeah. You know what I'm about to say. Yeah. You travel all over the world.
Yeah.
And why do you do that?
Yeah. Well, again, I just got back from Kenya a couple weeks ago. And
what's in Kenya that UT Martin needs you over there for?
Yeah. Well, Kenya, we need them and they need us is what it is. And our students, as I mentioned earlier, agriculture is a global thing. And so we bring students around the world.
To UT Martin.
No, we actually have our students go over to Kenya, and they're helping the Maasai people in Kenya with their sustainable agriculture. The Maasai are kind of a nomadic group that are cattle herders, and Africa's kind of like the old West was. They're starting to put up fences and things like that, so they can't do that cattle herding like they used to. So we're working with them to develop other agricultural practices, fruit and vegetable production. We're actually helping them develop some dairies over there where their cattle are more confined compared to what they're used to. They go where the grass is green, and teaching them better ways to raise forages. Dr. Isaac Lepcha on our faculty has been very involved in that part of the system. But then, they're already doing some things because they don't have some of the resources. So one of the things that we're doing is they have developed kind of a vertical garden, which kind of looks like a wedding cake, that we're doing some testing here in some of our greenhouses here on campus, and using those to really raise vegetables in a more sustainable manner.
During your time when you go overseas, what are you looking for? And give me a couple of countries that have been beneficial to UT Martin and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, I just mentioned the Kenya. That's been a very good experience. Also, have a lot of groups in Italy. We pretty much have students in Italy year round now.
What are you doing in Italy?
Well, we are there in the Tuscan region. Tuscany is really the breadbasket, if you will, of Italy, and so we're learning from them. One of the big things that is, I think we're getting the most out of that is they've really developed a really good system of branding foods, and getting more for those foods that are branded for a specific region. Some of the wines, for example, some of the cheeses and meat products are branded specific to a region, and you get a higher price. It's kind of similar to what we do here in the U.S. Probably the best group of doing that is Angus beef, certified Angus beef. If you go over to Walmart here in town, you'll see that the Angus beef, it goes for a little higher price than the regular beef, and it's just all due to branding.
Mm-hmm. If you have, how many students that are in agriculture?
Well, we actually have about 1,200 students in the College of Agriculture and Applied Sciences. Of those 1,200, there's about 100 or so that are actually in family consumer science, which is more of the consumer science. But we do have the food nutrition group in that group. So
what does that mean, family?
Yeah, so family consumer science is really kind of lifestyle sciences. So we have programs in child family studies, fashion merchandising, food nutrition, hospitality, food service management, FCS education, which is essentially the old home ec teacher, are all some of the things that we do in that program. And that's part of our college. I
haven't really asked you anything about horses and goats. And I can explain if I can expand on all of this, but really, there's a lot of things that are available right here. When I just mentioned the word horses, veterinarians you were just talking about a little bit earlier, and cows and Angus beef, or whether it may be goats or lambs. We've got all kinds of stuff that you folks deal with. Is that right?
Oh yeah, we've got a horse herd. I think we've got about 50 horses out there.
These are not rodeo horses.
No. Although a lot of them are used by our equestrian team. So we've got a equestrian team that is ranked in the top 10 nationally pretty much every year. So we kind of have a partnership with athletics to do that. It's actually an athletics team, but we help take care of the horses and provide a lot of the resources. Obviously, veterinary care. Horses need a lot of veterinary care, and it's actually a popular program. We're actually in the process of putting together a more specialized program out of our animal science program that will specialize in equine.
Yeah, you have any goats?
Yeah, we've got a sheep and goat center where we have a herd of goats and a few sheep. The reason that we do that is, there's not enough jobs in agriculture for just farm kids anymore, rural kids. And so we actually have quite a few students that come from the Memphis area and the Nashville area that want to go into ag careers, especially in veterinary and animal sciences. And because they haven't had maybe the experience with livestock that maybe a farm kid would have, we actually start them out with the goats and sheep with the handling, and then we gradually move them up to the cattle and the horses after that. So we kind of start them out there. But the goat industry here in Tennessee, we actually are the second top goat producing state in the country. Texas is the only one that's ahead of us, and
they got more land.
Yeah. Well, and goat meat is actually very nutritious. It's a nice lean meat. It actually has kind of a sweeter taste, and especially a number of ethnic groups also prefer goat. Like when I go over to Kenya, pretty much that's what I eat over there when I in Kenya, but also Hispanic populations and Arabic populations also like to eat goat.
We have a few minutes remaining in our program. Where do you see agriculture in the next 10 years? You probably will not be here on the campus, as many people sometimes say I'm ready to step aside. But what's the future? Yeah, well,
I think it's just amazing how agriculture has just changed in my time, my 30 plus years as an academe, and with everything going digital and just the information that's out there, the technology, biotechnology, engineering type of technology. I think artificial intelligence is definitely going to come into play, although AI is not going to be able to plant and know a lot of things that a farmer knows. It's just too complex for AI to take. But it will be a tool that we'll use. Self-driving tractors, utilization of satellites. We're already doing a lot of that. Before this program started, you and I discussed about driving the tractor down and turning it around and just going back and forth. You don't necessarily need a person to do that anymore, and then the farmer can do other things.
Well, I'm going to jump up here for just a second, and that is drones. I mean, for agriculture, for checking your wheat or your corn or your beans or your alfalfa or whatever it has.
Yeah, it's already here. The drones are already here. I was driving out. I have a house out in the country here in Martin, and driving out and saw Weakley County Co-op their drone spraying some corn. We used to have those crop dusters that went over, and which is kind of a dangerous profession. We can now do pretty much everything that crop duster does. It's also kind of interesting. You hear about drones in our defense systems for the U.S., and we're really recruiting some of those veterans that are coming out of the military that already have the experience of flying some of those things to do that and manage some of the equipment on some of our tractors and combines.
I guess the word would be recruit, but you have also the opportunity for the ROTC program to continue to be as good as it has been here on the campus of UT Martin. That comes under you. How did that happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact story with that, but it does actually kind of make sense, though. If you go back with the Morrill Act that Abraham Lincoln signed to start the land grant system, it actually said in there that, and I don't have the exact wording, but it's something to the effect that it was designed to provide education in agriculture, engineering, and they actually said military studies. And so it does kind of make sense that they are with us, and it's actually one of my joys. You kind of feel important when you're helping train future officers in the Army. And UT Martin has a long history of ROTC. I think it's been around since the late 50s. We've got a couple 3-star generals, General Castellan, General Cavan, that's come out of actually both our ROTC program, but also our ag program. They've been helpful with maintaining, and our program continues to grow. Actually, a lot of people might not know, in addition to running the program here at UT Martin, our UT Martin cadre actually oversee the program at Murray State as well.
I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the subject of the University of Tennessee at Martin's rodeo.
Yep. Well, rodeo is definitely...
Is that part of agriculture?
No, well, it started with us, and years back, it started in our college, just like the equestrian team started in our college, and it eventually morphed over to athletics. But we're, as I've mentioned with equestrian, we're also very, very involved with the rodeo program. Most of the student athletes that participate are ag majors, and so we're very, very supportive. The new coach actually is one of our graduates. The previous coach was also one of our graduates, and so we're just very involved with that. Students sometimes they actually get their degree and want to start a graduate program. We usually offer that as well.
This is a little bit of cheesy if you want, but how about your wife? She's a doctor, Dr. Winters also. Yeah. My question is, she's a part of the university as well.
Yeah. Well, actually, she retired about a year ago.
Okay.
Dr. Susan Winters is she's my wife and life partner, and we had 2 children that actually went to UT Martin, both got degrees. Actually, our son Luke received 3 degrees from UT Martin.
Congratulations.
2 bachelor's degrees and a graduate degree, and our daughter Sloan received her nursing degree and is down in Germantown in the ER at Le Bonheur Methodist. But Susan was a faculty member here in nursing, and retired about a year ago. She's enjoying retirement. Spends some time at the library. She's a part of Friends of the Library and volunteers there. And so,
well, I didn't want to leave her out.
Yeah.
So, and I did not know that she had retired.
Yeah.
And I obviously know that she's pretty good at what she does. Yeah. So, last word. Future of agriculture at the University of Tennessee at Martin. Do you see it continuing to climb the ladder, or maybe hold on to the ladder?
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to grow for a while. We do have some challenges in higher ed. It's not just ag, but in higher ed in general, in that there's not as many graduates graduating from high school to come in. A lot of students are also going to trade school. Has been another thing, but I think that will continue to grow. The nice thing about agriculture is people are always going to need to eat. And as long as people eat, as long as there's a human race, there's going to be a need for agriculture. So, some of this technology is coming in, but you're also going to need people to run that technology.
Amen. I can say that for factual. You got to have people. Listen. Agriculture is a tractor. It's also a tire. It's also. I mean, I can go on and on about what a tractor is and what agriculture is. You got to have the right equipment, and today equipment, I mean, you just mentioned it earlier, you got a tractor down the highway, nobody driving it. And so we just don't know where we're going to be here in another 10 years.
So. And some of I didn't mention the biotechnology. We're developing, changing the genetics of soybean and corn. We've already done a lot of that, but some of these other fruits and vegetables, crops as well as the grain crops, we're doing more and more of that. And so trying to make provide more food for this growing world.
Thank you for coming in today. This has been fun, and also kind of gives people, I think, more than anything else, that we don't know much about ag. Well, they should know a lot about ag today, agriculture at the University of Tennessee at Martin. Thank you so much, Dr. Winters.
Well, thank you, Paul. It's great being here.
I hope you've enjoyed our program with Dr. Winters, Dean of College Agriculture and Applied Sciences at the University of Tennessee at Martin, and also Professor of Animal Science. It's been a pleasure to having him on the radio. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's 30 Minutes, Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.